I've always been the big kid, the fat kid, the one who couldn't keep up. Growing up in my hometown, a small, laid-back place where everyone knows everyone, was tough when you're carving out a different path for yourself, especially one that's lined with junk food and video games. I mean, who needs outdoor activities when you have a PlayStation and a comfy couch, right? But as I got older, the jokes and teasing started to wear off, and the reality of my situation began to sink in. I was morbidly obese, and it was taking a toll on my health. I remember waking up every morning feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My joints ached, my back hurt, and just getting out of bed was a chore. Simple tasks like taking a shower or getting dressed left me winded and exhausted. I'd try to hide it, to pretend like everything was fine, but deep down I was dying. I was dying from the weight, from the loneliness, from the feeling of being trapped in a body that wasn't mine. The emotional struggle was just as real as the physical one. I felt like I was stuck, like I was watching my life pass me by through a window, unable to participate. I'd see my friends going out, having fun, living their lives, and I'd just be sitting there feeling sorry for myself. I felt like a prisoner, trapped in this body that I hated. I'd try to put on a brave face to pretend like everything was okay, but the truth was I was barely holding on. But then something changed. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was just the accumulation of all the pain and the struggle, but one day I woke up and I'd had enough. I was tired of feeling like I was less than, tired of feeling like I didn't deserve to live the life I wanted. I was tired of being a slave to my weight, tired of being a prisoner in my own body. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I knew I had to try. I had to take control of my life, of my health, of my body. And that's when it started, the journey that would change my life forever. Little did I know, it would also lead me to a discovery that would make me a millionaire, but that's a story for another time. I still remember the day I met her, my mentor, who would change my life forever. Her name was Sophia, and she was a specialist in alternative health practices. We met at a small, quirky shop in the city that sold all sorts of unusual herbs and supplements. The sign above the door read, "Nature's Way," and the interior was just as eclectic, with shelves upon shelves of jars filled with strange, colorful powders and liquids. The air was thick with the scent of incense, and the sound of soft, instrumental music floated through the air, creating a sense of calm and tranquility. Sophia was unlike anyone I had ever met. She was warm and welcoming, with a gentle smile and piercing green eyes that seemed to see right through me. She had a way of making me feel at ease, like I was talking to an old friend. We sat down at a small table in the back of the shop, surrounded by all sorts of strange and exotic plants, and she began to tell me about her approach to weight loss. At first, I was skeptical. I had tried every diet and exercise program under the sun, and nothing had ever seemed to work for long. But there was something about Sophia that made me want to listen, to hear her out. She talked about the importance of listening to my body, of paying attention to the signals it was sending me. She talked about the need to nourish my body, to give it the fuel it needed to thrive. And she talked about the importance of self-care, of taking time for myself and doing things that brought me joy. As I listened to Sophia, I couldn't help but feel a sense of hesitation. This all sounded so unconventional. I was used to being told what to do, to being given a strict plan to follow. But Sophia was telling me that I needed to trust myself, to listen to my own inner wisdom. It was a scary thought, but at the same time it was kind of exhilarating. With Sophia's guidance, I began to take my first steps into this new method. We started with small changes, like adding more fruits and vegetables to my diet and taking short walks around the block each day. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And as I began to make these changes, I started to feel a sense of hope that I hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, this was the answer I had been searching for. As I left the shop that day, I felt a sense of excitement and trepidation. I had no idea what lay ahead, but I was ready to take the first step. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of an incredible journey, one that would take me to places I never could have imagined. And it all started with a simple, yet profound, realization that the key to my success lay not in some magic pill or quick fix, but in my own ability to listen to my body and trust myself. I still remember the day I stepped on the scale and saw that I had lost over 20 pounds. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I felt like I could finally breathe again. The unconventional approach that I had embarked on, which involved a combination of dietary changes and lifestyle modifications, was actually working. I was starting to feel like myself again, and the energy levels that I had been lacking for so long were slowly but surely returning. As I walked through the park, feeling the warm sun on my skin and the cool breeze in my hair, I couldn't help but think about how far I had come. The journey had not been easy, and there had been many times when I felt like giving up. But something inside of me had kept pushing me forward, even when all seemed lost. I had started to realize that the key to success lay not just in the physical changes I was making, but also in the mental and emotional ones. I was learning to be kinder to myself, to listen to my body, and to trust the process. But just as things were starting to look up, I faced my first major setback. I had been doing so well, and then suddenly I found myself faced with a plate of my favorite junk food. It was like my brain had suddenly forgotten all the progress I had made, and all I could think about was giving in to my cravings. I felt like I was back at square one, and all the hard work I had put in seemed to be for nothing. It was then that I met Sarah, a friend who had been through a similar journey. She had lost a significant amount of weight and had maintained it for years. Talking to her was like a breath of fresh air. She shared her story with me, and I was inspired by her resilience and determination. She told me that setbacks were a normal part of the journey, and that it was how I responded to them that mattered. She introduced me to a new location, a local gym that offered support groups for people going through similar journeys. It was there that I met other people who were struggling just like me. For the first time, I felt like I was not alone. I realized that I had been trying to do everything by myself and that it was okay to ask for help. The community support that I received was invaluable, and it helped me to overcome the setback that I had faced. I learned that it was not just about the food I ate or the exercise I did, but about the people I surrounded myself with. I started to understand that resilience and adaptation were key to success, and that it was okay to make mistakes. As I looked back on my journey, I realized that the unconventional approach that I had taken had been the catalyst for something much bigger. I had started to see the potential for a business idea, one that would help others who were struggling with their weight. It was still in its infancy, but I could see the possibilities. I was excited to explore this new idea and to see where it would take me. Little did I know that this was just the beginning of an unexpected turn of events that would change my life forever. I still remember the day it all clicked. The moment when my struggles with obesity could become more than just a personal battle, but a beacon of hope and transformation for others. It was as if the universe finally aligned the stars in my favor, and what seemed like a lifelong curse turned into an unexpected blessing. The journey to this realization wasn't easy, filled with trials and setbacks that could have easily deterred me. But I had come to understand that sometimes the greatest successes stem from our darkest challenges. As I delved deeper into my own journey of weight loss and wellness, I began to notice a glaring gap in the market. So many programs and products out there seemed to be missing the mark, either by being too generic, too expensive, or simply too unrealistic for the average person to follow. I realized that my story, my struggles, and my eventual successes could be the foundation of something revolutionary, a business that truly understood the needs of those fighting obesity, because it was born out of those very struggles. The idea for my business, which would later become known as Second Chance Wellness, began to take shape. I envisioned a holistic approach to health and wellness, one that didn't just focus on the physical aspect of weight loss, but also on the mental and emotional journeys of its clients. It would offer personalized programs, accessible resources, and a supportive community that understood the complexities of obesity and the challenges of transformation. Excitement and a hint of fear filled me as I started outlining my business plan. I knew I needed guidance, someone who had navigated the entrepreneurial world before and could offer valuable insights. That's when I met Sarah, a seasoned entrepreneur who had successfully launched and run several startups in the health and wellness sector. Her mentorship was invaluable, providing me with the clarity and confidence I needed to move forward. With Sarah's advice, I began conducting market research, understanding the needs of my potential clients, and analyzing competitors. I traveled to different locations, meeting with potential partners and learning about various markets. Each new discovery, each conversation, fueled my passion and solidified my belief in my business concept. I was no longer just a person who had lost weight. I was an entrepreneur on the cusp of creating something that could change lives. The initial steps were daunting, from creating a business plan to securing funding. There were times when self-doubt crept in, and I questioned whether I was truly cut out for this. But every time I felt like giving up, I remembered why I started. I thought about all the people out there who were struggling as I once had, and how my journey could be a light at the end of their tunnel. The journey to launching Second Chance Wellness was not without its challenges. There were long days and sleepless nights, filled with strategizing, planning, and problem-solving. But with each obstacle, I grew more determined. I was not just building a business. I was creating a community, a safe space where people could find support, guidance, and the tools they needed to transform their lives. As the launch date of Second Chance Wellness approached, a mix of emotions churned inside me. Excitement for the potential impact, nervousness about the unknown, and a deep sense of fulfillment knowing that I had turned my darkest days into a beacon of hope for others. The business was more than just a venture. It was my legacy, a testament to the human spirit's ability to transform adversity into opportunity. And as I stood at the threshold of this new chapter, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready. For I had discovered that sometimes, the greatest successes are born out of our deepest struggles, and that with courage and determination, anyone can turn their story into $1 million legacy. I still remember the day I launched my business like it was yesterday. I had spent months developing my concept, and I was both excited and terrified to see how the public would react. As I clicked the button to make my website go live, I felt a mix of emotions, anxiety, hope, and a sense of uncertainty. What if nobody liked my product? What if I had missed something crucial in my planning? The initial days were a whirlwind of activity. I spent every waking moment monitoring my website, responding to emails, and engaging with potential customers on social media. The first few customers started trickling in, and I was ecstatic. They were all people who had struggled with obesity, just like me, and were looking for a solution that would work for them. I poured my heart and soul into every interaction, determined to provide the best possible customer service. As the days turned into weeks, I started receiving feedback from my customers. Some of it was glowing, with people telling me that my product had changed their lives. Others were more critical, pointing out areas where I could improve. I took every piece of feedback seriously, using it to refine my product and make it better. I realized that customer service wasn't just about responding to complaints. It was about actively listening to people's concerns and using that information to create a better experience for everyone. One of the biggest lessons I learned during this period was the importance of marketing strategies. I had assumed that if I built a great product, people would automatically come to me. But that wasn't the case. I needed to get out there and tell people about my business, to convince them that my product was worth trying. I started experimenting with different marketing tactics, social media ads, influencer partnerships, email marketing, and slowly but surely I started to see results. As I expanded into new markets and locations, I encountered new challenges. Different regions had different preferences and needs, and I had to adapt my product and marketing strategy to meet those needs. It was a steep learning curve, but I was determined to succeed. I worked tirelessly to understand my customers, to anticipate their needs, and to deliver a product that would exceed their expectations. Looking back, I realized that the early days of my business were some of the most challenging and rewarding times of my life. I made mistakes, of course, plenty of them. But I learned from each one, using those lessons to improve and grow. And as my business started to gain traction, I knew that I was on the right path. The attention and recognition were welcome, but they weren't the only measures of my success. I had created something that was truly making a difference in people's lives, and that was the greatest reward of all. I still remember the day my business started to take off. It was like a roller coaster that I couldn't get off of, and to be honest, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. The demand for my products and services just kept increasing, and it seemed like every day I was getting more and more orders. It was overwhelming, but in a good way, I suppose. I mean, who wouldn't want their business to be successful, right? As the business grew, so did the challenges. I had to hire more staff, find bigger offices, and figure out how to manage everything without losing my mind. It was like trying to drink from a fire hose. There was just so much to take in, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for it all. But I was determined to make it work, so I just rolled up my sleeves and got to it. One of the biggest challenges I faced was scaling the business while maintaining the quality of my products and services. It's easy to get caught up in the hype of rapid growth, but if you're not careful, you can sacrifice quality in the process. And that's something that I was not willing to do. I mean, my business was built on the idea of helping people, of making a difference in their lives, And if I compromised on quality, then I would be compromising on that mission. But despite the challenges, there were also some amazing opportunities that came my way. I started to get approached by investors, partners, and even influencers who wanted to work with me. It was surreal, to be honest. I mean, I was just a person who had been struggling with obesity, and now I was being courted by all these powerful people. It was like I had become a rock star overnight, and it was a little overwhelming. I had to navigate these new relationships carefully, though. I mean, it's not every day that you get to meet with investors or partners, and I didn't want to mess it up. So I did my research, prepared my pitches, and tried to be as confident as possible. And it paid off. I was able to secure some amazing deals, and my business just kept growing and growing. As I look back, I realized that the key to my success was my ability to adapt and pivot when necessary. I mean, the business landscape is always changing, and if you're not willing to change with it, then you're going to get left behind. So I stayed flexible, stayed focused, and just kept pushing forward, even when things got tough. And then one day I woke up to find that I had become a millionaire. It was a surreal moment, to be honest. I mean, I had worked so hard for it, but it still didn't feel real. I kept thinking that it was all just a dream, that I would wake up and it would all be gone. But it wasn't a dream, it was my reality, and it was amazing. But with great wealth comes great responsibility, right? And I was about to find out just what that meant. I mean, being a millionaire isn't all it's cracked up to be. There are taxes to pay, investments to make, and a whole lot of other things to worry about. And on top of that, there are the expectations. People expect you to be a certain way, to behave a certain way, and it can be overwhelming. But I was ready for it. I mean, I had come so far, and I wasn't about to let it all slip away now. So I took a deep breath, rolled up my sleeves, and got to work. I mean, being a millionaire is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to make a real difference in the world, to leave a lasting legacy. And that's exactly what I plan to do. I still remember the day I found out I was a millionaire like it was yesterday. It was surreal, like waking up from a dream and realizing it was actually real life. I had worked so hard to get to this point, pouring my heart and soul into my business, and it had finally paid off. But as I sat there, staring at my bank account, I couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. I had never imagined that my journey to lose weight and get healthy would lead me to this moment. As I navigated the implications of being a millionaire, I had to make some serious adjustments. Emotionally, it was tough to wrap my head around the fact that I had this kind of wealth. I had always been someone who lived paycheck to paycheck, and now I had more money than I knew what to do with. Practically, I had to learn how to manage my finances, invest my money, and make smart decisions about my wealth. It was a lot to take in, but I was determined to make the most of this opportunity. One of the first things I did was seek out the advice of financial advisors. They helped me understand the ins and outs of wealth management and introduced me to a whole new world of investing and philanthropy. I was amazed at the opportunities that were available to me, from investing in real estate to donating to charities that were close to my heart. I started to travel the world, visiting different locations and learning about the various investment opportunities that were available. It was eye-opening, to say the least. As I delved deeper into the world of philanthropy, I met some incredible people who were making a real difference in the world. They inspired me to think about my own legacy and how I wanted to use my wealth to make a positive impact. I started to explore different philanthropic opportunities, from donating to established charities to starting my own foundation. It was a daunting task, but I was determined to make a difference. Looking back on my journey, I am amazed at how far I have come. From struggling with obesity to becoming a millionaire, it has been a wild ride. But it's not just about the money, it's about the lessons I've learned along the way. I've learned about perseverance, hard work, and the importance of taking care of myself. I've also learned about the value of giving back and using my wealth to make a positive impact on the world. As I sit here today, I am excited to think about what the future holds. I know that I have a lot to learn and a long way to go, but I am ready for the challenge. I am ready to take my wealth and use it to make a difference, to leave a lasting legacy that will outlast me. The question is, what's next? Will I continue to grow my business, or will I focus on my philanthropic efforts? One thing is for sure, I am excited to find out. As I sit here, reflecting on the incredible journey that has brought me to this point, I am still in awe of how far I've come. From the struggles of obesity to the unexpected windfall of wealth, my life has been a true roller coaster. But now, as I look to the future, I am focused on creating a lasting legacy that will outlive me. I've been thinking a lot about how I want to use my wealth and experience to make a positive impact on the world. I've considered investing in various legacy projects, from sustainable energy initiatives to education programs for underprivileged children. I've also been exploring the concept of impact investing, where I can use my resources to support businesses and organizations that are working to create meaningful change. As I ponder my options, I am reminded of the people who have supported me along the way. My family members who stood by me through the darkest of times are now benefiting from my success. I am proud to be able to provide for them and give them the opportunities they deserve. And as I look to the future, I am excited to think about the impact I can have on future generations. I've been visiting locations that hold significance to my legacy, from the park where I used to walk and struggle with my weight, to the office where I first started my business. Each of these places holds a special memory for me, and I am reminded of the power of perseverance and determination. As I reflect on my journey, I am struck by the twists and turns that have led me to this point. From the struggles of obesity to the triumph of wealth, my story is one of hope and resilience. And as I look to the future, I am excited to see what's next. I am committed to using my platform to make a positive impact and to inspire others to do the same. My personal and professional goals are still evolving, but I am clear about one thing. I want to leave a lasting legacy that will make a difference in the world. I want to be remembered as someone who used their wealth and influence to create positive change and to inspire others to do the same. As I conclude my story, I want to leave you with a final message. No matter where you are in your journey, no matter what challenges you are facing, know that you have the power to create the life you want. Don't be afraid to take risks, to pursue your passions, and to never give up on your dreams. And always remember that with great wealth and success comes great responsibility. Use your talents and resources to make a positive impact on the world, and to leave a lasting legacy that will outlive you.